Welcome back. Today, we're tackling the single biggest myth in cloud computing. Here's the line you need to burn into memory. The provider secures the cloud, but you secure in it. AWS, Azure, Google, they handle the hardware, the hypervisor, the physical data center. Your data, your IAM, your configurations, your code, that's all on you. And that distinction is exactly why 99% of cloud breaches trace back to the customer side, not the provider. So let's unpack that line a little more carefully. The provider's territory is the physical stuff, the data centers with biometric access, the hardware, the hypervisor that isolates virtual machines, the network backbone. Yours is everything that lives on top, your data, your IAM policies, your network configs, your code. And here's the catch. That line actually shifts depending on whether you're running IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS. Less abstraction means more work for you, but data and identity, those are always yours, always. So let's nail down those four things that are always on you, no matter the service model. Identity and access, who can do what, MFA everywhere, least privilege, rotate those keys. Data, you classify it, you encrypt it, you back it up, because the provider has no clue how sensitive your records are. Configuration, and this is the big one, the number one breach cause in 2026, public versus private firewall rules, and never ever 0.0.0.0 open to the world. And finally, your application code, your bugs, your SQL injection, your leaked secrets, master these four, and you've just dodged 99% of cloud breaches. Now here's the matrix that explains every cloud breach headline you'll ever read. 8 layers stacked from your data at the top down to the physical data center at the bottom. And as you move from IaaS to PaaS to SaaS, that orange line shifts up, meaning the provider absorbs more of the work. With raw VMs, you're babysitting 5 layers. App service drops you to 3. SaaS, like Microsoft 365, just 2. But notice, those top 2, data and IAM, stay amber across all 3 columns. That's the whole point. The provider never ever owns your identity or your data. And here's the proof that those top 2 layers matter, because year after year, the same 4 mistakes cause nearly every cloud breach. Public S3 buckets. That's your Capital One, your Verizon. API keys committed to GitHub, scanned by bots inside 60 seconds. Weak IAM with no MFA and root accounts running daily. And databases left wide open to the internet, found on Shodan in minutes. Notice something. Every single one is customer side. The provider didn't fail. Configuration did. Now, the good news is you're not catching these mistakes by hand. Every cloud has tools watching for you. AWS gives you GuardDuty, which uses machine learning to flag the weird stuff. An EC2 suddenly mining crypto, an API call from Russia at 3 in the morning. Azure has Defender for Cloud, which scores your posture 0 to 100 and tells you exactly what to fix. Google's equivalent is Security Command Center. And then sitting above all 3, the CSPM category, Wiz, Prisma Cloud, Lacework. These scan AWS, Azure, and GCP simultaneously. And in 2026, that's the fastest growing corner of security. So let's put it to work. 4 real ticket, the kind that'll hit your queue. 1. GuardDuty fires on an EC2. Don't terminate, isolate, and snapshot. Treat it like a Lesson 48 incident with cloud forensics on top. 2. A user wants a public S3 bucket. The answer is no, and you offer pre-signed URLs instead. 3. An M365 compliance audit. Secure score MFA conditional access, DLP. And 4. A dev asking for access keys. Never. You give them an IAM role. 4 patterns, and suddenly cloud tickets stop feeling scary. Before we wrap, lock these 12 terms into memory. They show up in every audit, every breach post-mortem, every compliance doc you'll touch. Shared responsibility, IAM, least privilege, that's the discipline trio. CSPM, CNAP, GuardDuty, ADOR, your detection stack. KMS, pre-signed URLs, VPC, the protection layer. And SG, Bastion, SIEM, your network and visibility controls. Know these cold, and you'll read a cloud security ticket like a native speaker. Now, 5 myths that get people breached and CISOs fired. 1. AWS is secure, so my data is secure. Wrong. Capital One learned that the hard way. AWS was fine, their WAF config wasn't. 2. Cloud beats on-prem automatically. Only the infrastructure does. Misconfig is the #1 breach cause in 2026. 3. Long-lived API keys, bots scan GitHub, and weaponize leaked keys inside 60 seconds. Use IAM rules. 4. S3 is private by default until an admin flips it for easy sharing and forgets. Enable block public access at the account level. And 5. Cloud security is somebody else's job. It isn't. If you touch the cloud, you own a piece of it. So, lock these 4 in. The provider secures of the cloud, you secure in it. The line shifts left as you move from IaaS to PaaS to SaaS. 99% of breaches are config, not the platform, and your data and your IAM are always yours. That's lesson 53 done. Cloud security, locked in. Next up, lesson 54, cost basics, pricing models, billing, and your first taste of FinOps. 1 lesson and a capstone left in stage 7. See you there.